Yeah, good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned how to set up environment for working with TypeScript. You done that? Have you practiced it? Everything working fine, right? What we learned. So you install Node.js successfully. You saw the version because you cannot try any command without installing first Node.js. Installing TypeScript or installing any package, everything requires Node.js. So everything we need first with Node.js. So you need to first install Node.js. After that, we used an editor. Editor is VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Next, after the editor, we installed TypeScript also. And we learned how to create a project. How do we create a project? We discussed. So you need to follow these steps correctly. You can't directly create a project without installing Node.js and all. You cannot run TypeScript installing command without Node.js. As I already told you, if any error is coming, disable the antivirus that is running in your PC if any antivirus is running. Because antivirus will not allow to install softwares through package managers. They will block them. You disable your antivirus and you can use it. Okay. Now we learned how to create a project and we learned how do we set up environment for the project. So yesterday I created a project. Let's open that in Visual Studio Code. So we have file open folder. I created in E drive of my device TypeScript project. And in this TypeScript project, this is the environment we defined. So what is package.json? Package.json contains what? Metadata. Metadata means information about your project. And this package.json we installed by using npm. So from the terminal we installed by using npm init y. So here you have to run the command npm init y. And I told you that don't run this command in PowerShell. Change that to command prompt. From there you have to run. Next, we generated TS config also. What is TS config? TS config contains TypeScript configuration settings. So that in a project, when developers are using TypeScript, developers may use different techniques according to their knowledge. In that case, lot of code inconsistency will happen. Code inconsistency means everybody have his own idea of writing code, then it is lot of confusion. The code that you write need to be extended by another developer, then all should follow same standards. And what are the standards to follow that you have to tell by using TS config, right? Next, for this also, command we used tsc so hyphen init. This is used to generate the TS config file. These two files are generated by commands. We manually added two folders. One is public, another one is SRC. And we added a startup page. What is the startup page? Index.html. So yesterday we added these two files. So these two folders actually. So one is your project file system. In the project file system, package.json, tsconfig.json, and we have two folders. One is public, another src. So we have another page called index.html. This is the file system we have. So package JSON, tsconfig are generated through commands. Public and src we generated manually. We added the folders and the files. So here I will just give a point. Package JSON comprises of project metadata, and tsconfig comprises of TypeScript configuration settings, which contains rules and everything. Public comprises of static resources like images, like HTML files, like text documents, etc. src comprises of dynamic resources like JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, SCSS, all these. Index, it is the startup page for project. Your project starts with index.html. This is the basic file system. So package JSON, tsconfig, public, src, index. So all our images, HTML files, and text documents, everything we will keep in public folder. In src, JavaScript, TypeScript, all those we will keep in that src. Now, index.html is the startup. Generally, you learned in general HTML that every project starts with index.html. So this is the project file system. Now, what we need to do is, in this, we need to learn how to use TypeScript. How do we use TypeScript and put TypeScript in the project? So we are going to learn first individually how TypeScript works. Then we will implement this TypeScript knowledge in our Angular. And I'm going to teach you TypeScript, but I'm going to ignore JavaScript basics in TypeScript, because you people have to learn JavaScript and come here. Here we don't waste time in discussing any HTML JavaScript. We will use it. So Angular is for the people who already have an idea on HTML and JavaScript, right? So you will not be an Angular developer without HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So if you already learned JavaScript, then you are perfect for Angular. And if you already learned JavaScript, TypeScript is little convenient and easy. Most of TypeScript, it is very easy because all topics are similar. Few changes are there. Only those changes we have to learn here. I will tell you them. So we will start working with TypeScript now. So in this project, we need to use TypeScript instead of using any JavaScript directly. Suppose we want to create some buttons, interactions in an index page, then without JavaScript, how it works, we will see. But for that, you need to learn TypeScript language. So we are going to start with the TypeScript language basics. We are going to start with the TypeScript language basics. In any software programming, usually language basics means what you will have. Usually language basics means you will have variables, data types, operators, statements, and functions. These are the language basics. Almost every programming will have these variables, data types, operators, statements, and functions. And in JavaScript, you might have already learned them. So variables, data types, operators, statements, and functions are language basics. First, we will learn these language basics. Then we will go into advanced. Advanced means OOP concepts, object-oriented programming concepts, how they work. I will discuss what is difference in your JavaScript and TypeScript. Because in these are all JavaScript topics also. Just only few changes are in TypeScript that you have to learn. Right? So first, to start with these topics and work with them, one more important thing you need to know is, you need to know here a simple note is, every TypeScript file will have extension .ts. Every TypeScript file will have extension .ts. Okay, let's see. Now, actually, here two compilers, core compiler and standalone compiler. Core compiler will compile the code and it will show if there are any errors. And compiler will automatically translate into JavaScript. So after writing program, we don't have to use any core compiler. Directly, you use the compiler. That compiler internally uses the core compiler. So what you have to do is, after writing the program, you have to compile the TypeScript file into JavaScript. After writing TypeScript, you have to compile into JavaScript. How do we do that? So for example, your TypeScript file is index.ts. we need to compile from our terminal. I showed you terminal. We have to compile from our terminal. In the terminal, you have to write like this: tsc index.ts. That is how we transcompile. Now what this transcompiler will do is, internally it will use the core compiler. So you don't need to use the core compiler directly. You have to directly use only transcompiler, standalone compiler. It will internally first use the core compiler. It will check syntaxes, errors and all. If everything is fine, then immediately it will create a JavaScript file. It will create a JavaScript file for that. So here, this is going to translate and it is going to create, actually it generates index.js. Automatically JavaScript file is created. That means in your project, now you will have two files. One index.ts, another one index.js. Now, depending on what kind of logic you written. Suppose if you written some logic in such a way that is viewed in browser. That means you written logic to view in browser. Logic to view in browser means you used something like in HTML, what are output methods? In HTML, JavaScript, what are the output methods? In JavaScript, what are the output methods? Document.write, inner HTML, inner text. You know these, na? Right. So if you use document.write, inner HTML, inner text like that, alert, prompt, conforms will be there. If you are using such DOM, browser related any logic, then you have to link this index.js to any HTML page. Usually JavaScript files, if they are written with some HTML related logic, then we link them to HTML page. Or there is another facility here. If you written logic which is not targeting to HTML pages, that means, you know, in JavaScript there is a output method console.log, right? Console.log, console.error. These are JavaScript console methods. Console means you can see in the browser debuggers. If you return such console methods and all, then you can directly compile JavaScript files. You can directly run JavaScript files. So there is there are two situations for this file, according to what logic you written. If you written some logic which is related to presentation in HTML, then you have to link this file to HTML page. How do you link to HTML page? By using script element, you know, script src, you have to link. But if you written some logic inside it which doesn't require any HTML, then directly you can run JavaScript files. You can directly run and see the output without any HTML page. For that, what you have to do is here I will give those 2 points. If your code comprises of presentation related to DOM, then link index.js to any HTML page. Then you have to link index.js to any HTML page. if your code, how to link in HTML page, you know, this is script. src is equal to some index, wherever it may be, index.js. That is how generally we link. And if your code contains, so comprises of console methods without any DOM, then you can directly run JavaScript program using Node compiler. There is another compiler called Node. By using Node compiler, you can do it. So Node compiler is used for executing JavaScript files and viewing the output of JavaScript files. So if you want to view the output of JavaScript that is generated through TypeScript, there are two techniques: link to HTML page, or you can directly run. How to run? Because already Node compiler is installed, you have to run like this. Simply node index.js. You have to run node index.js. I will show you both techniques. Practically, we will see now. So this is how you need to practice TypeScript every day, depending on your program, how you written. Either you link it in HTML or directly compile and run it, right? I will show you both process. Let's see. Now I haven't started any TypeScript, means we haven't learned any syntax of TypeScript. First, we are learning about the files of TypeScript, how to handle them. Then we will put some code. As of now, we can directly put some JavaScript code in TypeScript and test. Let's see that. See the point how to do this. So I will go to the project. In this project, where to keep all dynamic files, because code files are dynamic files. All dynamic files we will keep in which folder? SRC. We will keep in SRC. So select SRC folder. In this SRC folder, what we need to do is we need to add a new file. There is a new file option. You have to select new file. And in new file, file name I given as index.ts. TypeScript files must have the extension index.ts. So enter. This is TypeScript file. Actually here we have to write the TypeScript code. But as of now, we haven't learned the basic TypeScript syntax yet. But general JavaScript syntax you can write here. As of now, just we will put one option like see. Suppose I am using simple variable, some var username. And here in this username, it have to handle a string. Later I will tell you data types and all. Then generally, you know, variables in JavaScript are declared by using 3 keywords. What are those? Var, let, and const. You know the differences also, right? So what is var, let, and const you learned in JavaScript? Variables are declared by using those 3 keywords, right? Now I am using here var username. JavaScript is not strongly typed, but TypeScript is strongly typed. So colon, you can mention what data type. I am giving string. So data type is defined by using colon. So variable name and what is the data type to handle. Data type variables, I will give you a separate point later. I am just showing you TypeScript file first. Now, in this variable, we will store some value John. Because it is a string type, we are storing that. Now, I want to print this value. Now, where you want to print this value? If you want to print in browser screen and show, then you have to use a method document.write. Document.write hello and plus concatenate with the user name. That is the variable name. This is the program we written. This program is now having the logic. Document.write means it is document.write means it is a DOM method. It is related to pages, browser. It is related to browser. So document.write you written means now this program you cannot run in Node compiler. This program will not run in Node compiler because you are using some DOM methods. Then you have to use this only in HTML. So let's see that. So TypeScript is created. Now this TypeScript need to be translated into JavaScript. We need to translate that into JavaScript. Let's see how. To translate this TypeScript into JavaScript, I showed you the process. We need a trans compiler, tsc index.ts. Now, first thing, you have to open the location of this file in terminal. How to open the location of the file in terminal? Right click on that file name and select open in integrated terminal. Open in integrated terminal. Then it will open the terminal like this. Again, make sure that this terminal is not PowerShell. You have to, I will give you one simple concept. You set it today. What you have to do is every time changing to PowerShell to command prompt is risky. You do one thing. Click the down arrow here in terminal. In that, you select the option here, select default profile. You choose this one. When you select default profile, when I click on that select default profile, it will ask like this. Which one you want to use as default, PowerShell or command prompt? If you select that command prompt or PowerShell, every time that will come now. So every day you don't need to change from PowerShell to command prompt. Every day you don't need to change from PowerShell to command prompt. Just what you have to do, you have to go to select default profile and select here as a command prompt. Then what will happen is every time when you open terminal, automatically command prompt only will come. Now open this file location in that terminal. Now here you have to compile. Now how to compile? TSC, that is TypeScript trans compiler. What is the file name? Index.ts. Now you will see that in the project you can see currently only one index.ts is there. But once you finish this command, automatically it will generate a JS file. You can see a JavaScript file added. Now in our project, one more extra file is there, index.js. So what transcompiler will do is, it will translate this and convert that into JS file, JavaScript file. Now I will try to run this JavaScript file through command node compiler. how to run through Node compiler. To run through Node compiler, here you have to use Node index.js, but it will fail now. Why it will fail? Because in this file, we written an output statement called document.write. That output statement can be presented only on browser. It can be presented only on browser. And this is not browser, this is terminal. And when you run, it will show obviously error. It says that here I can't find any document. Now you hit enter. Now you will see an error. Because the program, you say, it says that document is not defined. Document is not defined means it is unable to find document, because you are writing code. In that code, you are saying some document, and the document is not here. So don't run the program like this if there is any document related method. What you have to do, close the terminal. After you generated JavaScript file, link the JavaScript file to your HTML page. How to link JavaScript file to HTML page, everybody knows. We have to use script src, source, and remember, it is in src folder in that index.js. You cannot link TypeScript files, only JavaScript files, because already we learned that TypeScript is not understandable to browser. We as developers write TypeScript, translate into JavaScript, and use the JavaScript. Now let's run this and see how to run HTML5. We know we use live servers now. Yesterday I told you to install a live server. Right click on your page and select open with live server. You can select open with live server. Then it will open with the live server, and output is coming here, hello John. Along with our general HTML content, this output is also displayed. So it will not work. It will not work inside that console command line. Why? Because you used some HTML things, right? This is one point. Let's do some change now. I will go to index.ts. Here, instead of document.write, I will use console.log. Console.log can be tested in both locations. You can test in HTML, or you can directly test here. You can directly test here without linking to any HTML. How we can do that now? Let's see. I will open terminal now. And in the terminal, we will run the command here. What is the command? What we made some changes in TypeScript. Every time you made changes in TypeScript, you have to transcompile first. Transcompile means tsc index.ts. Then it will update the JavaScript file. After updating JavaScript file, now node index.js. Now you can see output comes here itself directly. That means there are two ways of testing your TypeScript files. So write TypeScript code, compile it into JavaScript. Now JavaScript, whether to link in HTML or directly run, depends on what logic you written. If you written any logic related to DOM manipulation, then link it to HTML and see it. If you written anything related to console base, then you can test both. Actually, console base will come in HTML also, but you can't see on screen directly. What you have to do, you know, na? I hope you people know. Suppose now this is index.html. Here also the link is same, right? And I will run this. And you can see hello John is not showing. Why? Because what is the output method? Console.log. Console related any output is not shown in the page directly. You have to right click on page, go to inspect. Go to inspect. In inspect, you will find here console. Here there is elements category. Select console. There you will see the output. But you don't need to come here. You can directly see the output in the terminal itself. Just you have to run by using node compiler. So viewing output of the TypeScript code you created two ways. You can see in your HTML page or directly in the command line. So depending on what kind of logic you written, right? I hope you understood this. Let's make a simple note about this here like this. First point means I will give an example here. First point, so go to SRC folder, then add a new file, index.ts. There we will put a simple logic. And here we write document.write. This is a simple logic we written in index.ts. So this is index.ts. I will give a step-by-step note of every topic. Even it is online or offline, you have to wait and write. Okay, na? I will give a detailed notes. Programs I will upload into Google Classroom. Okay. Topic related detailed notes I will give. I will dictate the notes. You can write directly in the class. Okay. So, and programs, I will upload those into Classroom. All the definitions, syntaxes, everything I will give you a note detailedly. Now here, index.ts, then next step, what you have to do is right click on index.ts and select open with open in integrated terminal. Then transcompile. How do we do that? TSC index.ts. Now go to index.html. In index.html in head section, HTML page, how to create complete structure, no need to give, you know. Script source is equal to src in that index.html, index.js. So that is, you need to do in transcompiling. We are linking that index.js because the transcompiler actually what it does, it generates index.js. Because it generates index.js, we have to link that here. Integrated terminal to transcompile. If now we will do a small change here. So another technique here I will give. Test from console. How to test from console? Go to index.ts TS. Here you need to make some changes. Where username string, some name. Here you need to change console.log. After that, transcompile. After that, run using node compiler. That means node index.js. This is testing from console. Console is nothing but command line. Huh? That means in index.ts, we are changing the logic little bit. We replaced document.write. From document.write, we change it to console log. And whenever you make any change, every time you need to transcompile, right? Compile. And after you transcompile, you have to run using the node compiler. Right. The general problems that you face here is majority of times when you are practicing in the first levels, the major problem you will face is you will not open the terminal in the same location where you created file. That means where your index.ts is there only you have to run these commands. Right? Sometimes you people directly open terminal without opening the location of the file in terminal. That means I will tell you here. Sometimes what you people do is you open direct terminal. So you open direct terminal, it will come like this. And here you try to write tsc index.ts and it will show that that particular file not found. Right? Why this error will come? Because the file is not in this project directly. Na? It is present in which folder? SRC. Then how you can run here? Right? That means many times yesterday also I saw you people posting that it is showing not recognized command. TSC not recognized. TSC not recognized because TypeScript not installed. First, what you have to do? Install TypeScript. After the TSC, directly if you type TSC and check the version, it will not work. Right? Order you need to follow correctly. So now you know how to change to that folder. Na? So you can use the command cd. cd which folder? SRC. Here you can run the command. What is it? tsc index.ts. And here you can run node index.js. That is how we do. So our main concentration is not HTML now. Our main concentration is learning language. We will learn the complete language perfectly. Then we will use this in Angular. In Angular, you will get the UI. Now, while practicing TypeScript, don't worry about UI, user interface. You need to just learn the complete language concept. Then you can implement that in Angular where along with user interface will come. Right? So here we have to start working with the language now. Up to this, everyone is clear? Right? How to add a TypeScript file, how to transcompile into JavaScript, and how to run the JavaScript files. If the code is having DOM manipulation linked to HTML, otherwise directly you can run using node compiler, right? Yeah. Now we can go into the TypeScript language basics one by one. I will explain. In this first, we will start with variables. So in the language basics, first we need to start with variable. I hope you already learned this in JavaScript and everywhere. What is a variable? Variables are storage locations in memory. Variables are storage locations in memory where you can store a value and use it as a part of any expression. So actually variables are storage locations in memory where you can store a value and use it as a part of any expression. Variables are storage locations in memory where you can store a value and use it as a part of any expression. That is the general technical definition of variable anywhere. Actually, when you are working with JavaScript, TypeScript or any programming language, every variable have three phases. Variable configuration comprises of three phases. Variable configuration contains three phases: declaration, assignment, and initialization. These are the three phases. Every variable configuration contains these three phases: declaration, assignment, and initialization. I will show you these points. We will see that. Actually, you need to know all these three very well. Then only you can understand the difference of different types of variable declarations in your JavaScript and TypeScript. Actually, what is this declaration, assignment, initialization? Let's see. Suppose here we are defining like this. Suppose I am configuring some example here. Let's where some x and x equal to 10. So generally here in the first phase here, x is a variable. X is a variable and there is no values mentioned, only variable name and its configuration is defined. Then this is called as declaration. We call that as declaration. And after declaring a variable, we are sending some value into that variable. This is called as assignment, not initialization. This is assignment. Remember, initialization means at the time of declaring a variable, if you send value into it, then it is called initialization. So this is not initializing value. This is assigning value. The second one is assigning value. It is not initializing value. Initialization means you are declaring a variable called some y. While declaring itself, you send some value into it. This is called as initialization. This is called as initialization. Understood? Initialization. This is very important. So variable contains three phases: declaring variable, assigning, and initialization. Declaring means you just mentioned a name for memory. You just mentioned a name for the memory. After declaring, if you pass some value later, not while declaring, after declaring, if you pass some value into it, then it is called assignment. While declaring itself, you send some value into it. Then it is called initialization. That is very important to understand. And see here, suppose after initializing y to 20, I am using y 30 now. What I am doing? Assigning. What I am doing? Assigning. That means this is also called as what? Assignment. I am assigning 30. Suppose I am defining y is equal to 40 again. This is also what? Assigning. This is also assigning. And remember, if you go on assigning like this, variables use a mechanism called stack, last in, first out. In that case, the last assigned value will be the value for your variable. Understood? That means whenever you try to read a variable, the last assigned value will come because it uses a stack mechanism. So if that last assigned is removed, the previously assigned will come. So that is the stack mechanism. Variables always use this stack mechanism. So variable have declaration, assignment, and initialization. These are the three phases of an variable, right? You can roughly note this diagram like this: declaration, assignment, initialization, and assignments. How? So what is the mechanism of this stack? Last in, first out, right? Last in, first out. That is the mechanism of stack. Hope everyone understood. So declaring of variables, assigning values into variables, and initialization. Okay. Now, next important, made a note about this, right? Now, next important is, I will give here a simple syntax. Where x, this is referred as declaring. X equal to 10, this is assignment, and some where some x equal to 10, or some y, another. This is called initialization, right? Next. Now here in TypeScript, variables are declared by using the following keywords. We have var, and we have let, and we have const. Same like JavaScript concept, same, no change. In JavaScript, variables are declared or initialized by using these three. Here also same. And in JavaScript, you will learn all these three differences. You know the difference now? What is difference between var and let? You learned in JavaScript, right? What is difference between var and let? You know, you learned JavaScript, na? Right. I will give a fast overview of correct points about these var and let, because you need to know them. Var, first thing, it defines a function scope variable. Var defines a function scope variable. Function scope variable means, actually function scope variable means you can declare in any block of a function, and access from any another block. This is called block scope, function scope. I will show you that practically. I will show you this. So you can declare in any block of a function, and you can access from any another block. So function scope means you can access anywhere inside the function. You can access anywhere inside function. I will show you this practically. Now important, where it allows declaring, assignment and initialization. It will allow all three. Where allows declaring, assignment and initialization, all three are allowed. These three are allowed. Where allows declaring, assignment and initialization. I will show you this now. What is meant by function scope, I will show you. Let's see. We will go to this code here, TypeScript file. In the TypeScript file, I am writing a simple logic here. In JavaScript, you learned function. I will give a function, suppose demo. In this demo function, I am declaring a variable called x. Into that, I am storing some 10. After that, I am writing a condition. If x equal to 10, then here I am giving where y equal to 20. That means now actually in this is function scope. That is function scope. That means where the function starts and where the function ends. Now in this function scope, this is block. This is block. This is called block scope. If is considered as a block, if you have a block, that means where the curly brace starts and ends, that is a block. Now in the block, we have y. What we have done here, initialize it. Initialize it to how much? 20. So you see here, where x equal to 10, there also I initialize. I will do one thing. Instead of initializing, I will just keep x equal to 10 and x equal to 10 like this. This is declaring, this is assigning, and this is initializing. All three are there. And this is function scope, but y is declared and initialized in this block. I am trying to access outside that block. Console.log, I am printing x equal to the value of x, and in console, to print in next line, you have to use /n for new line. In next line, y is equal to the value of y. We are printing value of x and y. Now you can see here, so y is declared inside the block and you are trying to access outside the block. Is it possible? It is possible because where makes y function scope. It is possible because where will make y function scope. That means y will become function scope. Wherever you declare, in any block you may declare. If it is declared with where, that means it is function scope now. That means you can access anywhere in the function. Inside the block, outside the block, anywhere it will work. Let's run this and see. And this function need to execute. You have to use demo. Demo, because function you need to call. You learned it, right? Every function you need to call it demo. Let's compile this. So for your visual sake, I am compiling in a separate command prompt, but you try in terminal only. You don't need to do that. Just because everybody can see it clearly, I am opening a separate command prompt. So in this command prompt, I will show you. So tsc index.ts. After that, node index.js, and you can see it is working fine. X is 10, Y is 20. Y is accessible outside, no problem. Because you declared by using var. So that means var allows declaring assignment initialization. You can declare in any block and you can access from any another block. That is what the meaning of function scope. Function scope. Okay. Another important is these examples I will upload into Classroom. I will copy this example into Classroom. I will upload that. Now, another point you need to know is actually it allows, var allows shadowing. Var allows shadowing. Var is going to allow shadowing. What is shadowing in JavaScript? Shadowing is the process of redeclaring or initialization of any variable within the scope. Shadowing is the process of redeclaring or reinitializing any variable within the scope. Within the scope, redeclaring and reinitializing. That is called as shadowing. It is not allowed in many programming languages. Even in JavaScript also not allowed everywhere. So shadowing is very important. Actually, shadowing is allowed using var. Shadowing means, let's see the point here. Here, I am writing var x equal to 10, var y equal to 20. I am using y equal to 30. What I am doing? Already it is initialized. Na? What I am doing? Assigning. I am assigning. It's okay. You can assign. But I am redeclaring again var. That means already there is a variable called y. I am redeclaring again the same name variable y. Why we are doing like this? Because we want to reset that memory. Clean up and reset the memory, but same name memory again I want. Then I redeclared or reinitialized it. This is not supported in majority of programming languages, but it is supported here. This is called shadowing. Shadowing means allowing to redeclare same name identifier in the block, which is not allowed in any programming language. So it is allowed in TypeScript and JavaScript. Only when you are doing by using var. Only var allows like that. For example, see now, later you will see others. Let's compile this now and see. tsc index.ts, node index.js. Every modification recompile. You have to compile again. Enter. Now it is working fine. So that means there is no issue. So this is called shadowing. So we are not assigning, we are shadowing. This is shadow. This is shadowing. We call this mechanism as shadowing. So it allows shadowing. This program I will give you there. Another important, var allows, it allows hoisting. Var allows hoisting also. Var is going to allow hoisting. Now, what is the concept of hoisting? Where allows hoisting also? Hoisting means, I will show you one simple diagram, simple point here. For example, actually the meaning here for hoisting, you see, generally you will hear like flag hoisting, right? So why a flag is hoisted? Generally, you are celebrating August 15, 26 Jan, you hoist a flag. What is the meaning of hoisting flag? So technically, the meaning of hoisting is to tell that I am here. That is the meaning of hoisting. That is the meaning of hoisting. I am here or we are here. For example, suppose generally, one simple point I will give you. Suppose here, some group of people are there. And suppose we have some mountains. Now this is approximately 1 kilometer distance. Now what happened is, one of the person from this group or few of this group went to this location. They need to tell those people that we reached. Then usually what they do is, usually they hoist a flag. They hoist a flag here, so that people from far can see that flag. That is the meaning of hoisting a flag. To tell that they are there, right? Suppose somebody reaches to Moon or Mars or Everest, they put a flag. Why not telling that I am proud of my country? They are telling that my country is here. I am here. That is the meaning actually. Why this concept in programming? Very simple. The concept of this in programming is nothing but, suppose here we are writing a simple x equal to 10, x equal to 10, and console.log x equal to the value of x. It is completely not valid. Why? Because x is a variable you haven't declared. Without declaring, you are trying to assign some value and use it. Is it possible? No, it is not possible. Now see, I am declaring var x here. In almost all programming languages, it is invalid, because the declaration of a variable must be before it is used. Before it is used. Am I right? But here, what is the specialty is, actually, in this concept, generally compiler starts from here. But when compiler starts here, it will see there is x, but it is unable to find the declaration of x. But you declared x by using var. Now what this var will do is, this var is going to hoist your x like a flag here. Understood? Now what happens is, compiler comes here, it will first go to this location and then come back here. That means you don't worry about the order. You just declare anywhere you like. Compiler will pick up, because var is hoisting it. That means var is showing the compiler that here x is there. That means now compiler will directly reach there, and after that it will continue. This is the mechanism of hoisting, which is not available in many languages. Almost majority of languages, you must declare and use. You cannot use and declare. But this is supported in TypeScript and JavaScript, especially by using var. Now you see here, I will run this now. TSC index.ts and node index.js. Now it is working. There is no problem because you can declare anywhere. But you declared with var or not, it is important. If you are not declaring with var, this X cannot be hoisted. If X is not hoisted, then compiler will show error. X is not defined. Right? This is the mechanism. That means here, this is called hoisting. It is called hoisting. Don't get confused. It is not hosting. It is hoisting. Hoisting is different. Hosting is different. Hoisting means it is nothing but hoisting. Hoisting allows the compiler to access variable declaration from any location. So there is no order for declaring and using. There is no order for declaring and using. Generally, there is an order for declaring and using. You have to first declare and then use. But now you can directly use without declaring. After using, you can declare. That is the concept. This is actually the example of hoisting. That means simple example I will give here. X equal to 10. Console.log. X is equal to plus X. Var X. This is okay. No problem. This is called as what? Hoisting. Hoisting. These are important points you need to understand about var, right? So generally these are all JavaScript concepts, right? In JavaScript, you have to learn all this. So anyhow, I am giving little more clarity because without this, you can't deal Angular, right? You need to understand the correct terminology and all these options. So I will brush up those options one more time, right? Outline I will give you. Next, another option we have LET. Let. So what is the purpose? It configures block scope variable. It configures block scope variable. It configures the block scope variable. Block scope variable means not like var now. Block scope variable means it is accessible in the block where it is defined, and also to its inner blocks. It is accessible in the block where it is defined and also to its inner blocks. We call this, this is LET, and actually let allows declaring, it allows assignment, and it allows initialization. But it will not allow shadowing and hoisting. They are not allowed. So shadowing and hoisting is allowed only by using var, not by using let. So LET is more restricted when compared to var. var is having more scope, but LET is restricted. Many times we want like that because You cannot say which one is best. Depending on situation, all are used. Right? We need to restrict the variables so that they can't be accessed outside or they cannot be redeclared. Then better always use let. So see here, let's see the difference now. Same programs, let's see the difference here. First, I'm giving let x. This is declaring. X equal to 10. This is assigning. If x equal to 10, I opened a block. In this block, let y is equal to 20. And I am printing outside here console.log x equal to the value of x and plus some y is equal to the value of y, x and y. But now the y is not allowed because y is declared inside the block using which keyword? Let. It is not accessible outside. It is not accessible outside. You can't use it because it is block scope. It is accessible if it is var. Where you saw that it is working fine, but now it is not allowed. Let's check here. TSC index.ts node index C, immediately it shows an error. Cannot find name y. This y is unable to find because it is not in that block. Okay, we will do one thing. Remove this and keep it in this block. Now y is in the same block where it is used, but x is not in the same block. X is outside now. Is x accessible here? Is x accessible there? It is declared using let. Is it accessible? Yes. Why? Because block scope means available to inner blocks also. It is available to inner blocks. So it will be working fine. There is no problem here. And you can see now TSC index.ts, it is going to compile successfully. Node index.js, it is working fine. But very important now here, I am using, I will copy this example. This is one example. Another one, I am here defining y is equal to 30. Is it allowed? Is it allowed? What I am doing, assigning or shadowing? Assigning. Assigning means it is allowed now. Right? LET allows assigning, initialization and declaring. It is allowed. There is no problem. That means there is no problem in this. It is allowed. There is no issue in that. So you can run that same. Right? I am defining here. So instead of that, let y equal to 30. This is not allowed because this is called shadowing. Shadowing is not allowed with let. Now I will do one thing. I will write here var. Is it allowed? Is it allowed? It is. Don't trust that red mark. Sometimes it will not be correct. Understood? Will it allow? Don't trust that red mark. So it will not allow. Why it will not allow? Because let is looking for the variable y. That means it is checking that y is not taken by anybody. It may be var or it may be another let. Understood? That means if let is using a variable, there should not be any another variable by that name. Declaration may be different, but name should not be same. It is looking to the name. Shadowing is related to name. So same name variable must not be taken by anybody. That means this is not allowed even when you use var. So this is actually shadowing. Shadowing is not allowed. Shadowing is not allowed. That means you use here let let y, and you compile and run this here. When we compile and run this index.ts, it shows error. It says that clearly cannot redeclare block scoped variable. So let defines block scope variable, and you cannot redeclare block scope variable, which you can do if it is var. So that is allowed with var, not allowed with LED. This is important. Another one, it will not allow shadowing also. That means x equal to 10 console.log x is equal to the value of x, and here I am giving let x. It's not allowed. So I am running that here again. So I am running that here again. Then it is the same problem. That means block scoped variable x is used before declaration. It is used before declaration, which is not allowed. Now important, if it is declared with var, it is allowed. Var, it is okay, no problem. That means I will compile with var, it is working fine. It is compiled. Node index.js, it is working. But let, it is not allowed. It will not support hoisting also. Hoisting. That is what actually the concept of var and let. And constant, actually another const. Const is more restricted. It is also block scoped. Block scoped. But very important, it allows only initialization. Only initialization. No declaring and assigning. Nothing. Only initialization. It will not allow to assign. It will not allow to declare. Var and let will allow to declare and assign, but const will not allow. Obviously, it will not allow. It will not allow shadowing and hoisting also. So it is very, very restricted than let. Only initialization is allowed, nothing else allowed. So for example, here, suppose syntactically I am giving here constant x. If I declare like this, this is invalid. It is not allowed, because compulsory constant must have initializer. Must have initializer. That means into that I am sending some value. Is this initialization? No, then this is also invalid. Invalid. You can write only like this: constant x equal to 10. This is valid. Anything else is invalid. So it will not allow shadowing, it will not allow hoisting, it will not allow declaring, it will not allow even assigning. Even assigning. That means after I initialized x equal to 10, into x I assigned 20. Is it valid? After initializing I am assigning. Is it valid? No, invalid. Anytime assignment not valid. That is the reason once you mentioned a value, that value is fixed. At the time of initializing, what value you give, it is fixed. It cannot be changed. By seeing this, many people think that this is read-only. But read-only is different, constant is different. That later you will learn when you learn about read-only. Constant is not about read-only. Constant is about only initialization. It is about only initialization. For example, see now here. I am writing here constant x and x equal to 10 and console.log. Here I am giving x equal to the value of x. The first thing what it shows in error, let's see. Let's compile this. In the error, it is going to show you that constant declarations must be compulsory. Initialize compulsory, right? And okay, I initialize it to 5. I initialize it to 5, but assignment is not allowed now. Now you should find out another error here, right? Let's see, cannot assign to X because it is a constant. You cannot assign into it. So constant will allow only initialization, no declaring and assign. It will not even allow shadowing and hoisting. Only fixed values initialize and use them across the program anywhere in the same way. Don't allow to append any value into it, modify. Then we have to define by using const, right? That is the difference between all the three. Variables are declared by using these three keywords, var, let, and const, right? Rest of variable basics you already know. How to declare a variable I showed you, right? Now the next important you need to know about how to mention the data type for variables. That we will see in our next session. In the next session, we will discuss about data types. And next session again will be on Monday. Tomorrow, no session. Right? A very happy new year to you all. We will meet again on the next year. Okay. All right. Monday will continue then. Right.